Today I wanted to talk about a kind of a tough topic, one that will not be able to be covered in this video that we're going to do today, but it's coming from a recent parent coaching session I had with a mom and a dad, and they were sharing with me a little bit about their daughter's experience. And she was at a new school and she had created new friendships, and in these friendships these girls were engaged in behaviors that she had not been exposed to thus far. So these behaviors are alcohol, vaping, sexual activity, drugs, and it was really scary for those parents to know that their daughter is hanging out with a group of girls that are into these types of behaviors and choices. So their daughter was wanted to be in this group, and this group of girls, they were very popular. And when you're popular, you have a lot of social currency, right? There's a lot of stuff that comes with that can be perceived as good. You have social power, you have attention, and so on. So this girl had not had the best experiences with friendships in the past. And so here is this popular group of girls that is willing to let her into their tribe, which was a big win for her. And she really felt like, in order to fit in, I have to fit in by doing some of the things or all of the things that these girls are doing. So, as I said, they were making some risky choices. And this mom and dad that I was visiting with, their daughter had decided to make some choices as well that were risky, with alcohol and sexual activity and so forth. And it was really scary for these parents, and there was a lot of fear involved that their young girl that seemingly 5 months ago was felt so much more innocent and I don't want to say naive, but innocent's probably the best word. That it felt like her choices were age appropriate, and then all of a sudden they felt like, when they found out that the girls are drinking alcohol and that the girls are getting drunk at parties, and that their daughter had had her first sexual experience while drunk. It was really, really hard to know that this was happening. And then, how do I deal with this? How do I have this conversation with my daughter to help her to make choices that are more in line with who she is, and choices that I would like for her in order to be healthy and happy? So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today, just to give you a little bit of food for thought about how to have a conversation like this. So, questions to ask our girls when they're engaging in these types of behaviors that maybe they're new for them, maybe they aren't. Questions that will help our girls to reflect and to understand why they're doing what they're doing, to become aware, because the more aware we are, the more we can make choices that are in line with who we believe ourselves to be. So some questions to ask our girls. Is this what you're choosing? Is this who you want to be? Right? So do you want to go to parties and drink alcohol and get drunk and have sexual experiences with guys that you don't really know or have no relationship with? And right now, what I'm saying, it sounds pretty judgy. So my tone of voice would be one of kindness and love. I would be coming from a place of kindness, love, and curiosity, so that she can be curious about herself too, rather than defending herself from our judgment. So I might be asking questions like, is this who you want to be? Do you want to be the party girl? Do you want to be the girl that, has sex with several guys? Do you want to be the girl that drinks alcohol now, in 9th grade or 8th grade? So, and I might be asking questions like, tell me about the girls in your group. Tell me what you like about them. Tell me what you wish were different about them. Tell me about the good parts about being part of this group. What do you get from this group? And, asking questions, what do you get from these choices? So when you say yes, basically by agreeing to drink vodka or, go to a party, or vape, what do you get from that? She might be having to look at that and say, well, I get attention, or I get to fit in. They're willing to still invite me to things. I'm not left out. I'm seen as cool. So it's asking kind of what are the upside of these choices? And they're, usually if you're leading with curiosity and no judgment, there are upsides, or else they wouldn't be doing it, right? So the upside might be, well, it's satisfying my curiosity. I was curious about vaping and wanted to know what it tasted like, what it smelled like, what it felt like. It allows me to fit in by making these choices. And I get to look cool, and I get to get attention maybe from someone who I want attention from. Or, I get to remain in this friend group and not be alone. So those are big upsides if you're a teen girl and you as we know, fitting in and being a part of and not being ostracized and alone is survival, essentially. So asking questions like, does who you want to be fit with the choice that you made? Do those two things line up? And I might ask, is this choice or are these choices in line with who you want to be and with your goals? So, maybe your daughter wants to be on the honor roll, or she wants to be the captain of the robotics team, or she wants to, be on a swimming team. She wants to go to college. She wants to be a really successful graphic designer. So I would be asking her, so you really want to go to college, and you know that getting good grades and, being healthy and being involved and engaged are really important things to go to this college that you would like to go to. So the choices that you're making now, does it feel like that's part of your plan? Does that fit in with the goals that you are seeking? And you're asking her to be self-reflective, because this time of adolescence, when these choices are being made, it's a time of identity. One of the most important developmental tasks of adolescence, identity. Who am I? Who do I want to be? What do I believe in? What's important to me? And what are my values? So up until this age and stage, let's say that your daughter's in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, she's had a lot of time living in your house, being around you, her parent. And so she's very clear on what your values are and what you want for her. And now she's starting to explore, well, what are my values? What do I believe in? What do I want? And sometimes we learn that by choosing something, experiencing it, and then deciding, yes, that is a part of who I am, or no, it isn't. So you're asking her to reflect on that. Of course, you're hoping that the answer is, no, I don't want to get wasted every weekend. I really want to get, A's and B's, and I want to go to a good college. Of course we want that. And I don't mean to make light of it at all, although sometimes I think in parenting we have to make light of this really heavy stuff that is so scary. But yeah, so we're asking her to reflect. And sometimes when, instead of us kind of forcing our opinions on them and telling them what they should do and they shouldn't do, and we give them the space to come to that conclusion on their own, then there's less resistance, and there's less resistance because they're not wanting to resist themselves. If they come to the conclusion of, no, I don't want to be wasted every weekend because I do care about my grades, I do care about where I go to college, then they're not going to want to resist themselves. They're more in line with the choices that they want to make, and there's probably more motivation behind making those choices. So the other thing that I think is really important is sometimes when they make these choices that we think are risky and not so smart, there's some Monday morning quarterbacking that we can do that can be really helpful for our girls. And so let's say that her friends showed up at your house and you learned after the fact that her friend brought vodka in and they were drinking vodka in her bedroom. And after the fact, you might be able to have a conversation with her and talk with her about, okay, so how do you feel about what happened? And what would you do differently? So if you had to do it all over again and you knew that your friend was coming over with alcohol, what would you have done differently to prevent that if you wanted to? Let's say you didn't know that she was going to bring it over, and she walked into the house, she comes to your bedroom and pulls out, a bottle of vodka. What could you have done in that moment? Or what would you have done differently if you wanted to have a different turnout, a different, experience? So it's getting her, because she doesn't have a frontal lobe to work with all the planning and to think about the pros and the cons and the consequences of everything. That's kind of where we come in, to ask the questions, to get her to think maybe ahead of time. So if you're, and using the example of her going to a party where everybody's drinking and everybody's getting drunk, and now, you know, a sexual advance is coming toward her, you might break it up into steps and say, okay, well, if you could have done it differently, would you still wanted to have gone to the party? And knowing that there's going to be drinking at the party, is there anything that you would have done differently? Is there anything that you think that you could have done to protect yourself so that you weren't having your first sexual experience when you were drunk? So these are hard conversations to have. It's embarrassing, especially as a teen. They know, they can feel that we don't want them to make these choices. We don't like it. We wish that we could control them and make it stop, that we're disappointed, that we're scared, that we're judging them. They can feel all that. So as much as we can, if we can come into these conversations from a place of love after having dealt with all of our big emotions with our partner, our spouse, our friends, and to lead from a place of compassion, knowing that they're trying their best to grow up and to become a grown-up, and part of that is trying on grown-up behavior and choices with lack of life experience and a fully developed brain. So hopefully this gives you some reflective questions to not only have what I hope to be a productive, loving, helpful conversation with your teens, but also to help your girls to reflect on, understand themselves better and to know themselves more, so that they can potentially make choices that are more in line with who they are, which will lead them to feeling comfortable and confident and like themselves more. So this is, like I said, it's a big topic. We've talked very little about what it could be a very long conversation. And if you feel like this is something that resonates with you and something maybe that you're dealing with and you would like more individual support and guidance with it, I would love to help you in that way. And as I said, I'm a parent coach, so we can have a parent coaching session in person or on Skype. And then I also have YouTube videos along these lines of communicating and having a good relationship with your girls and risky behaviors. And then I also have a monthly newsletter that I send out each month that I would love for you to sign up for on my website, barbsteinberg.com. And each month we talk about one or two really important topics related to tween and teen girls. And of course, I have a blog on my website in case you're more of a reader than a video watcher. So all of those resources are for you, because my job, my purpose is to help you and your girls in whatever way I can. So hopefully this has been helpful today.